I'd just like to introduce Petra Griffiths, who's the director of the Paul Dorrier Cancer Support Centre in South West London, and also I think we would say an innovator in the cancer information and support field, and development coordinator for the Healing Journey in the UK, and she's going to speak to us now.
Hello. Well, first of all, a slide just showing the history of the Healing Journey so far in the UK. So we've run 2 full pilot courses at the Paul Dorrier Centre, and about 6 level 1 courses have been run, 2 of them out of London, 1 in Manchester and 1 for the Northumberland Cancer Support Group. So what are the results that we've had from people participating in the Healing Journey programme as we've experienced it in the UK? Well, here's some data about who has taken part. 75% have been female, which is very similar to the percentage in other activities in our centre. 60% have been between ages 40 and 79. 12% have been from ethnic minority backgrounds. 64% had cancer and either were undergoing treatment or had completed their treatment. 36% were carers, and some of those in fact have done the whole Healing Journey course without the person who was ill being there, so they very much used it for their own growth. What they wanted to get out of the Healing Journey is listed here. So things like achieving a sense of calmness or inner peace. A big one is wanting to help with motivation in practicing things like meditation and relaxation, because I think most people find it's fairly straightforward doing these things in a group, and it's harder at home, so it's great to have the motivation, extra motivation from being with a group of others. Many people wanted to deal with stress, to deal with negative thoughts or emotions, or just to relax better and reduce physical tension. So what feedback have we received about the results of being on the course? Well, the following percentages of people after level 1 have either agreed or strongly agreed that they've achieved a greater sense of calmness and inner peace. 93% felt they had improved their motivation to practice at home. Same percentage to deal with stress. 90% felt they were better able to deal with negative thoughts or emotions. 88% to improve relaxation. 81% felt they developed skills to cope with cancer. And 80% felt they had more control over their life. And then we're going to look at results from people who've attended the whole 5 levels of the Healing Journey course. So that's 2 full courses of people. Now here we find that we get some very suspect results, all 100%, you'll see. Any researchers here will be going hot and cold. But of course, this is because what this is representing is participant feedback on how they feel aspects of the course have helped. And by the time you get to the end of level 5, no doubt you are one of the people for whom this kind of approach works. So we're not claiming this is the kind of objective truth or anything like that. And in fact, what I think this slide most shows is that we need some funding for research, just in case there's any research bodies here, because that way we could have a range of methods and maybe someone outside ourselves looking at what's going on. But here's an example of a comment made by someone who's completed the course, just as a kind of example. And this was someone who's a carer, who said, "The Healing Journey has been a turning point in my life. I was very sceptical, but I couldn't have been more wrong. I came along to support my friend. When I started the Healing Journey, I was a very distressed person with depression and panic attacks. Thanks to the course and the insight of the leader, who counselled me, taught me breathing techniques, meditation, this has changed. I will never forget this experience, the journey it has taken me through, or the people I've met. I'm sad that this is coming to an end, but I'm leaving a much happier person." So what are the features of the Healing Journey programme in the UK? Well, first of all, the inspiration behind the whole thing is based very much on all Alistair's foundational work in Canada, and from levels 1 to 4, all the exercises that Alistair outlined briefly in the programme are exactly what we need to help people to learn coping skills, courage home practice, and move on to help people work with the kind of internal obstacles that we all have to growth and greater inner peace. And we've made a few adaptations in the UK, partly for communication purposes. For instance, the names of the levels. Level 1 is the same, coping with cancer stress. We've just given different names that are listed there to some of the later levels in the hope of encouraging people to understand what's in them and to attend. So things like moving towards inner peace for level 3, and then level 4, singing your own song, and level 5, care of the soul. It's during level 3 when Alistair also mentioned that the course gets a bit more challenging to people. But it's at this point that we've also introduced constellation work, which is a group work method for enabling change to happen that's very striking and effective, and I think it's experienced as very supportive by the individuals who are often bringing very painful problems for healing and resolution. So constellation work is based on the work of Bert Hellinger. You'll find references to that in the new edition of the book. And Constellation Workshops UK is a very accessible way of trying out the constellation process for yourself and grasping the gentle, dynamic power for change that's involved in working with constellations. Constellation Workshops UK are actually here this evening, as well as the Healing Journey, so you'll be able to find out about that aspect as well as the core programme. So constellation work is a relational way of working involving all the participants in the work that happens, and it's also a very tangible expression of the interconnectedness of life, as insights seem to arise out of the work in unexpected ways, and long-standing relationship blocks and obstacles shift, and new possibilities seem to emerge in ways that we wouldn't have thought possible. So here's a comment by one of our Healing Journey participants on the constellation workshop she did. So she said, "I've done a lot of courses, I'm starting to wonder whether anything could help me. The constellation workshop was the most amazing day in my whole life. My spirit has returned, and I found my laugh again."